Hey guys, my name's EarthToLydia. So level 1 of Tome 3 has just been released in the archives, and today I'm here to show you the quickest and easiest way to complete it if you're looking to rush from prologue to epilogue. I personally find the easiest way to do this is by playing Survivor, as the challenges are more direct and easier than if you were to try and do this solely with killer challenges. If you prefer to do the killer only quests, then this isn't the video for you, but I'd be more than happy to make that video if you guys wanted. First off, let's start with the best route to take. So starting on the Survivor side, the first fork in the tome also brings us to our first Master Challenge. Now this is a Master Challenge for Kate, so if you don't own her or the Curtain Call DLC, you won't be attempting this challenge anyway. This challenge requires you to be chased for a total of 30 seconds in a trial. Keep in mind that there are a lot of killers right now that are playing Deathslinger, as he's the most recent killer to be released, and Huntress, as the killer side of the tome focuses on her lore. Both of these killers are actually quite difficult to initiate chase with, as both of them have ranged attacks which don't require them to initiate a chase with you to get a hit, and Deathslinger has one of the smallest terror radiuses in the game. There is a likelihood that you could get this first time, but it's a little bit reliant on what killer you get and how well you can loop. Therefore, I'd personally avoid this challenge, as I think the alternative is a lot easier to obtain and not as killer dependent. The next fork in the road comes after the Engineers Guild, where you can either go upwards towards Dwight's Master Challenge, or you can continue on to Benevolence. If you go upwards towards the challenge asking you to cleanse 15 totems, although it seems easier, you'll actually be adding a significant amount of time to your games. Regardless on which route you take here, you'll be required to complete a minimum of 3 games to progress to the next challenge, but the Benevolence Challenge is pretty much guaranteed in those 3 games, whereas the Totem Challenge would require you to cleanse all 5 totems in the trial over a course of 3 games, which is unlikely even in a Survivor Friends group. You'll then also need to complete a Master Challenge for Dwight before you can return to the next stage of the tome, so it's much easier overall to just bite the bullet and do the Emblem Challenge, as much as a lot of us don't like them. Right after Benevolence, the tome splits again, this time either sending us towards a challenge that can be completed either as Killer or Survivor, or taking us to the last challenge of the tome. The next challenge is dependent on whether or not you have the perk Windows of Opportunity, which can be purchased from the Shrine of Secrets at the time that the tome was released. If you have this perk, you can complete the last challenge, which wants you to vault 3 windows or pallets in Chase with the perk equipped, and then we reach the epilogue. However, if this is not a possibility, you can take the challenge to disturb 50 crows. After this, you'll complete one more challenge before you reach the epilogue. Having said that, if you have windows of opportunity available, I would highly recommend taking the challenge for this instead, as it's significantly less time and effort. Now let's move on to the challenges. Now we'll get onto the specifics of what you have to do with each challenge. The first one is By Any Means Necessary, which requires you to drop 3 pallets while in a chase with the killer. This is incredibly easy and doesn't really require much input from me. Just wait until you have the chase music and then drop a pallet. Remember though that this can be completed over multiple games, so you don't just have to drop them randomly in the first trial that you get into. Next up, we have Fighting Back, which requires you to break 3 hooks while in the killer's terror radius. My suggestion would be to equip Saboteur, but if you're not confident with the perk, then you can just bring in a toolbox to do this with. Just remember that if you bring Saboteur, the perk does have a cooldown, so once you break a hook or even start the animation to break a hook, you'll not be able to use this perk again until the cooldown passes. For Out of Sight, you want to hide within 10 meters of the killer's terror radius for 30 seconds. Again, this can be done over multiple games, and if you have Iron Will, I would strongly recommend bringing it in for this one so you don't have to worry about staying away while injured. For spatial reference, you can probably imagine the lengths of about 5 or 6 gens is close enough to complete this challenge. Savior requires you to unhook 2 survivors safely in 1 trial. I'm sure everybody knows this, but the best perk for the job here is Borrowed Time, as even if you unhook in the killer's terror radius, the survivor will usually be counted as a safe unhook before taking 2 hits from the killer. The Engineers Guild wants you to complete 2 generators with other survivors. I know what the devs had in mind when creating this challenge. They were probably thinking about how they could make a challenge centered around Dwight's perk Prove Thyself, but this isn't actually the first perk that I'd recommend running for this challenge. If you have it to hand, try equipping Better Together from Nancy Wheeler. This perk highlights the gen that you're working on in a yellow aura to other survivors and encourages nearby survivors to come and work on the generator with you. That way the survivors will come to you rather than you having to run around searching for them and hoping that you find them on a generator. Benevolence, as I mentioned earlier, is a pretty easy one to get. I know a lot of people see emblem challenges and they're not too keen on them, but you can pretty much do this one without even thinking about it too much. Benevolence is based on your altruism in a game, game and only requires you to get 3 bronze emblems. So as long as you get a safe unhook and heal a couple of your teammates' health states, you should get this in the minimum of 3 games without even trying too hard for it. Opportune Escape is another one that we touched on earlier, but I want to give a full build suggestion when getting this one done. Rather than just using Windows of Opportunity as a passive perk slot in your build, I'd personally make a build based entirely around this. This one is one that I like to call the Window Hopper, which I can make a full video on if you guys are interested. Make sure to comment that down below if that's something that interests you. What you'll need here is Windows of Opportunity, Live, Dance With Me, and Quick and Quiet. And what this will do is make it so that after you vault the window, you can basically completely escape from the killer and keep yourself healthy so that you can survive longer in the trial. And also take chases later on. Even if you can't use all of these perks, it's an incredibly useful and fun build, so just use as many of them as you can, as they all have great synergy with each other. And after this, we'll have reached the epilogue, so it really is as simple as that. Thank you guys so much for making it this far into the video, and if you use any of the advice that I mentioned to complete the tome, please be sure to let me know in the comments and leave a like on the video too. It would greatly help me out. If you want to know when I'm going to post my next video, please be sure to join the Discord server in the description or follow me on Twitter. All of my social medias are linked down below, as well as my Twitch, where I live stream 5 days a week. And I'm wishing you guys all of the luck in your tomes. But most of all, just have fun. See you guys next time. Bye!